Won't stop the beat and go.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So, like you saw in the intro, this video is all about letters of recommendation for applying to grad or med school. So the first thing I wanted to mention is that however many schools you have picked out to apply for, you want to go on their website and double check how many recommendation letters they are asking for, because I like doing research myself. Every school is different. Like some may only want 2 or some require 3. But I was going for dental school, I was actually looking into Columbia in New York, and they require 4, and one of those was a letter not within a major or within anyone in the science department, which I thought that was unique, so make sure you're on the lookout for that. Um, like, it's really cool because I have an English minor, so I was like, okay, cool, I can ask for 3 letters in my biology department, and then also get a letter from one of my close professors in the English department. So another thing you're going to need to work on to get letters of recommendation, you want to ask the professors that you've had the most connections with, and you also want to ask the professors where you did really well in their class. So you kind of have to find that balance where like your interpersonal relationships and you also excelled in their class. I wouldn't really ask for a letter from a professor like, you know, you did horrible and like you got a C or a D, and like obviously like it shows that you like didn't put quite enough effort into that class. So I wouldn't ask that professor because they may not write that many great things about you. And I know it's like really hard, like if you might be close with professors and you didn't do so well in their class, like if you got a B, I would still ask that professor because they still know you well, they still know what you can do, they still know what you have to offer. And then the professors you got A's in them, if you don't like know them as well, you can still ask. But it's always easier, like if you're taking classes, it's so beneficial to go up there, talk to them, go to their office hours, and like ask for help, like even if you don't need it, so that you have like time one-on-one and they know you and they would like be more willing to write letters for you. Okay, so don't stress out if you're like a senior and a junior and this is the year that you need recommendation letters and like you're like, oh crap, like I never even thought to like have those personal relationships with my teachers. Like it's never too late. You could always start to go into their office to talk to them after class about work or like anything like that, or even just kind of spark the interest that you may ask them for a recommendation letter. Like I did that this year with a teacher I'm not really that close with yet, but they have high accolades in the academic world, so I really want to get to know them this year. And I went up to him and I was like, hi, like my name's Sophie. I was hoping that if I do really well in this class, maybe you could write me a letter. And he goes, okay, like that's fine. We'll just see how the semester goes. And I was like, great, thank you. So I'm gonna try and get closer with that professor just so he knows who I am and what my career goals are, so he could write me a nice letter. So after you've done that and you've gotten some professors that you could even ask, the next thing is, like, this is your career, so you want to take charge. If you ask a professor for a recommendation letter, this is not the time to be shy. Like, be confident, go in their office, and you want to say, like, you know, I really need this letter, and then you want to have a quality picked out about yourself that you want that professor to stress on. It's perfectly okay to sit down in their office and be like, if you decide to write me a letter, this is what I would like you to stress. Like, you know, like, oh, I'm really unique, or I have a lot of eclectic qualities, like I do a lot of involvement, or perseverance, like whatever quality you want, like sit down and let them know this is a quality I want you to write about. And then also ask your other professors to write about your other qualities. So don't have 3 professors write about, like, say, perseverance if that's what you choose. You want to show everyone you're applying to, like, wow, like, a lot of other professors see that she has a lot of great qualities. And that's what letters of recommendation are supposed to do. They're supposed to boost your application. Like, people that have gone to college, got their master's or doctorate or anything else, PhDs, think that this applicant has this quality and we should consider her, so we will. So it's really great. Make sure you and the professor you have asked have a nice understanding of what is going on. My last note that I have here is get plenty. Get plenty of letters. I would say there's never enough. Just make sure that as many as you have are of good quality. I would say 3 really great recommendation letters are better than 20 mediocre ones. It's quality, not quantity. So you want to look at the schools you're going to, see how many you need, and then you want to get that required amount, obviously. And then if you still have professors, like, in any other area, like, let's say you're not, like, you got enough from the bio department and you want something from the English or the Spanish or, like, the history department or anything, like, that you showed great interest and, like, your qualities were in, then absolutely go get a letter from those departments and add it to your application. Like, get plenty great letters. You don't have to stop at the requirement. I know that was, like, pretty straightforward, but I know a lot of people that have asked me about it, like, and are just nervous. Like, even though it's, like, seems simple, like, you could go up to someone and say, hey, I need a letter of recommendation for this, like, this is what I'm doing. Like, it can be nerve-wracking. Like, you're asking your peer to do you a favor, and that reminded me, since you're asking your peer to do you a favor, like, no one is required to write you a letter, so whenever you go in and ask, you always want to be respectful. Like, you don't want to say, I need a letter, can you write it? Like, you just want to be like, I was wondering if you would have time or would consider writing me a letter. And if you have that close relationship or you did well, I'm sure they will say yes. So just be respectful. Also, I'm gonna leave after this one nice tip. So this is a good tip. You wanna give the professor you ask a timeline of when it's due, because you don't want to wait till the last minute when your application is due and you're like, oh my god, like, my teacher still hasn't finished this letter and I need to submit my application. I would say give their deadline like 2 weeks before you have to put your application in. Like, even though it's not technically due until the application is, you want to be like, I need it 2 weeks before. I need it on this date instead of this date, and they will get it done. If you ask them early on in the semester, don't be, like, annoying and keep reminding them, but you do want to remind them, like, check in every now and then or send them an email and be like, hey, like, blah blah blah, I hope the letter's going well, thank you again so much for writing it, and then sign off. But just, like, little reminders periodically, and, like, this is the date it's due, like, thank you so much. Yeah, that's basically it. I hope this helped somewhat. I hope you feel a little bit better about asking for letters of recommendation. And yeah, this time I will see you next Friday.